recent investigation by the Associated Press is proving to be an eye-opener, especially when it comes to how cops are treating kids as young as 6 years old, especially black ones. The AP analyzed 3,000 cases in which force was used against children under the age of 16. All of the cases happened over the course of the past 11 years. It found that 50% of the children who were handled with force were black, even though black children only make up about 15% of the U.S. child population. There were takedowns, strikes, and even firearms pointed at or used on children. All disturbing when you hear that cry. Here to talk about the problem is political and social impact strategist Camila Dechalus. Welcome to BNC Live, Camila. It's a pleasure to have you. So again, I mean, it's just disturbing to say the least. Half the kids were roughed up. We're black. Our children, black kids, only make up 15% of the population under 16. Talk about that.
Yes, I think one of the biggest findings in this investigation that the Associated Press did was to take a real in-depth look about the excessive police force that police officers use against children under the age of 16. And in that study that they showed of 3,000 instances of where police use excessive force on children under the age of 16, more than 50%, roughly more than 1,500 were of black children. And so I think this really just shows a startling using the data to show how severe this problem is, and especially in the midst of when Congress is still grappling over how to come up with legislation to address police reform. This is a really real part of the conversation, is addressing not only the use of when police use excessive force, but also when it comes to children and how there's really no real laws in place of how police should treat children, and especially in the use of the excessive force.
Well, speaking of that, why are there no laws in place or rules in place with police departments on how to handle children? I mean, children as young as 6 having guns pointed at them or being roughed up?
Well, I think one of the things that the Associated Press has mentioned, other outlets have reported about, is the fact that it's really intentional that they do not have laws on the police officers using excessive force when it comes to children, because that gives them more leniency and room to act in really critical moments. And so it puts more agency on police officers to handle children in certain situations and to kind of navigate those situations without really having guidelines. I mean, we've seen in some instances that the Associated Press also pointed out in their findings is that some police departments have put very loose guidelines on how to treat children under the age of 16, especially when it comes to when they are in police custody. But in terms of excessive force, a lot of police departments do not have that. And that is something advocates have really brought up in the conversation and into the national discourse when it comes to police reform.
Why is it that they're treating our children like this? Is it because some of our communities lack resources for a lengthy legal battle?
I think this finding is very unique in the sense that there hasn't been that much data out there really looking at this. I mean, we've seen reports time and time again about how the police officers use excessive force when it comes to members in the Black and Brown community, but specifically pertaining to children that are under the age of 16, there just has not been that much data out there. And I think this Associated Press report hopefully kind of keeps the conversation going, and there's going to be more reports and more accountability on police departments to really give out that data and make it publicly available to really understand what the problem is and how deeply embedded it is for them to really address.
Yeah, well, here's an issue that they pointed out in the AP. A 15-year-old just bicycling, like 15-year-olds do in the business district of a city in Illinois, which prohibited. Actually, it's a prohibit for them to bicycle on the sidewalk. It's rarely enforced, as the AP reported. But the 5-foot-tall, 80-pound, mentally disabled boy was pursued by police into his house, thrown to the floor, and then handcuffed. I mean, talk about trauma. I mean, these situations, they're not just one-off. I mean, this is long-term trauma that these children are dealing with.
Yes, I think that's the biggest thing that medical experts have pointed out in these instances where excessive force has been used on children under the age of 16, especially by the hands of law enforcement, is that there are long term psychological impacts and effects on these children. And that's why it's when it comes to the excessive police force, especially when it comes to conversation on police reform and what needs to be done in this country, that this component, especially how children under the age of 16 are handled by law enforcement, really needs to be at the foreplay and the forefront of this conversation to really address and to really prevent things and instances like those from occurring again.
Camila, how do we highlight these situations without sounding like victims? Because for folks who don't have these interactions with police, it's hard for them to fathom that we experience these types of things. I mean, from the youngest to the oldest.
I think data speaks volumes. I think one of the biggest findings from this report is that not a lot of all police departments do not have guidelines when it comes to physically handling children under the age of 16. And I think having more police departments put out this kind of data and have this available to really show people how much of a problem this is and has been in the past would be really finding. I think not just understanding how they're handling kids at this moment when it comes to excessive force, but how they've handled children in the past years, and taking a really deep look into their own police departments and understanding what the problem is. I think to have a really robust investigation and them conducting their own internal investigations on this issue, we're really to have the public pay more attention to this and really kind of put out their findings would really create more awareness and really educating the public about this issue.
Yeah. Camila, thank you for joining us.